Let me tell you my story of how I ended up on a ship bound for West Mexico. Chapter 1: The Call of War. I thought my war days were over. I had conquered the greatest empire that the world had ever seen. But then I received a letter that changed the course of history. That was when I knew there was no escaping. The Call of War. Chapter 2: Unification. I joined a coalition and created an army comprised of an air force, artillery, and tanks. I quickly took over central Mexico, and East Mexico was soon to fall. My plan to unite North America would first start with the unification of Mexico. Out of the chaos emerged two coalitions. My coalition consisted of Colombia, Venezuela, and Cuba. The opposing coalition consisted of West Texas, South California, Alaska, and Indiana. Both sides were on the brink of war. Our strategy for war was simple. We were going to try to isolate West Texas from its allies and attack it from all sides. Chapter 3: War with Texas. Many of my troops had begun contracting a rare disease called COVID. They were wiping out entire units. If we were going to strike at Texas, it was now or never. Our army was outnumbered, but we had the advantage in the skies and at sea. To stop his ally South California from attempting to aid him, I placed infantry units on the only piece of land connected to South California. If he tried to attack, he would be destroyed. If he tried to cross by water, my battleship would shoot him down. The moment had come. My troops were in position, and all I needed to do was give the order. For a moment, I felt bad. So many troops had already lost their lives fighting for my Mexican empire. But then I realized I was a dictator, and I could do whatever I wanted. Just like that, we were at war. The enemy troops were too well defended, so we began the long process of bombardment. My best troops were sent to Marfa, and that was where the first battle would commence. We were just a few hours into the war, and we already had encountered a few problems. The first was Texas Air Force was a lot stronger than we anticipated. Their highly developed fighters were able to combat our bombers effectively, and their long-range strategic bombers wreaked havoc on our city. To combat this, we began shortening our bombing attacks to ensure that their interceptors would never know our position. And for the strategic bombers, we moved anti-air to the important cities, ensuring that they could not do any more damage. We're also not ready for their navy. An unknown ship was seen coming off the coast of Texas. To combat this, we sent the 6th Battle Group, our newest battleship, to engage. We also didn't anticipate that South California would join the war so soon. The best we could do was retreat and use a battleship to shell them off the coast. My allies wouldn't arrive for several days. It was up to me to hold out until they could come. On top of all this, we were extremely low on manpower, and it would be hard to create more troops to help in the war effort. My troops held their ground despite the odds. My strategy of quick attacks by air didn't seem to be working. My new plan was to target enemy air bases and stop them from ever getting off the ground. The biggest clash of the war would occur at Las Cruces. My troops had to hold on until reinforcements could arrive. If they could hold on for long enough, then the tide would be turned. While my troops battled at Las Cruces, we began prying for other weaknesses in the Texan line. We discovered that they were very aggressive, and when they attacked, they were often open to counterattacks. At Las Cruces, the plan was to have our tanks do a countercharge and to have the artillery lay down cover fire. We're hoping that this battle would open up gaps that we could exploit. After all the losses, we needed a victory fast, so I sent my best troops to take Midland. Despite the odds, we scored a victory at Las Cruces. Texas and South California were closing in, but if I could just hold on for a few more hours, Cuba, Venezuela, and Virginia would arrive. My allies hadn't arrived in time. West Mexico had fallen. Even though my nation hadn't survived, I had survived on a battleship. Out in the Pacific Ocean, I would plot my revenge and return for my great